You're listening to Ambitious AF, a podcast that will help you level up, find positivity, and put yourself on top right now and every day for the rest of your life. I'm your host, Caroline Lewis, and each week I will bring you a guest or thought that will motivate you to get out of bed every morning with the willingness to succeed. Being ambitious means you are proud of who you are and everything you've accomplished. Only you can make that happen, though. But with the help of this podcast, you will rise to the top. You will find success. You will believe in yourself and manifest happiness. And most importantly, you will become ambitious AF. I know you are eager to begin, so let's get started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here on Ambitious AF. It is Friday when you all are listening, which I think I say every single time I record these, so I need to change that up. But it is Friday when you're listening because Fridays are my most exciting days because I get to interview and connect with amazing women from all over the world. So, of course, we've got yet another interview for you all. And today we're going to talk to Kate Tyson. So she is a marketing mentor. So I know we're going to have tons to talk about, but more importantly, we're going to be able to talk about her journey, how she got started, and of course, that fun entrepreneurial lifestyle that we absolutely love. So without further ado, Kate, thank you so much for coming on the show. And everyone listening, she's coming all the way from England. So she has a beautiful accent. I cannot wait for you all to hear from her. Kate, thank you so much for coming on. If you want to just say hi and kind of start who you are and you know how you started your business, and we'll go from there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for having me. As I've been saying, I've been so looking forward to this all day. So I'm Kate Tyson, and as you said, I'm a marketing mentor. So basically, I work with small business owners, predominantly women, who are in that startup phase of their business, and they just don't know where to start with their marketing, and they've got that overwhelm feeling that they're panicking every time they think of marketing because there's just so much to think about. So I come in and basically am the balm to this, to help them to calm and give them permission to say, you don't need to do everything, and wind it back in a little bit. So basically, I've been working in marketing and PR for the past 20 years. God, that's heartbreaking. I've worked in all sorts of different things, in PR agencies, universities, financial institutions, all sorts of random jobs over the years. But it got to 2019 and my organization was having a big reshuffle, and they were offering voluntary redundancy. And I suddenly thought, I don't love what I'm doing anymore. And I think it'll come across that I'm quite a extroverted kind of person, and I have to love what I'm doing, because if I don't, I it's not that I disengage, it's no joy anymore. So I grabbed that voluntary redundancy with both hands and took that in October 2019, and I literally had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't know if I still loved marketing, what I wanted to be when I grew up. I'm not going to call it a midlife crisis. We're not going there, but it could well have been. So I got to sort of December time and thought I probably should try and find a job. And I half-heartedly applied for a few things, but my heart really wasn't in it. So I have two children, and they are the two little girls who are my absolute joy. Don't tell them that. But I mean, I love them to pieces. And I didn't, because I live quite a way out of a city, I was going to get a full-time job that would require me being away from them all the time. And that's not what I want from my life. So I decided to start up on my own in January 2020, which was amazing timing, because as I started up, the world closed down. So March 2020, the UK went into lockdown. The schools closed, nothing opened. So I became a teacher for 6 months. And that I'm not a teacher. I'm terrible. Anyway, the children survived. We've all survived.
Yeah.
It's fine. But what came out of that was time. I know that sounds counterintuitive because I had the children, but I only had a few clients ticking over, and those that I did have were sort of taking a bit of a backseat because they didn't have as much business going on. So it gave me thinking time. Now, I'd set up this business, which is called Snowball Communications. I'd set this up thinking I was going to go back to doing exactly what I was doing before, hands-on, in the middle of it, marketing. But that time, that 6 months, really made me think about what I wanted to do and what I'm good at. And what I'm good at is mentoring, is talking people down from their absolute panic, from giving them idea. I'm not a coach. I'm going to put that out there right now, because coaches are meant to let you find your own answers, and I am too like, we could do this, we could do that. So I'm definitely a mentor. But it gave me that time to reevaluate, and I hate this word because it's so overused, but pivot my business to doing mentoring, to being that person for predominantly women in business. Because let's face it, most of us have got a lot to do without thinking of everything else, everything around marketing. We've got that mental load going on in the background anyway. So adding all the marketing stuff on top of it when you're setting up your new business, it pushes us over the edge sometimes.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And of course, I have like a million questions and topics I want to talk about. And I think I want to start with time, because COVID, and it's weird because I was just talking to someone else about this, and sorry if we're not supposed to say the word COVID, but COVID essentially made people realize that there's more to life outside of their bubble, but you've got to think about what you want in order to get outside of your bubble, right? And a lot of people are scared of time. Like sitting alone and thinking is absolutely terrifying, because we're just nurtured now to always be, especially with our little phones, with someone, right? Like, when was the last time half of you all listening went out to dinner by yourself without your phone, maybe with a book, and just sat there with a journal and just wrote? Out to dinner in front of everyone, right? It's like we're so not used to doing these things because we feel like we always have to have people and things and ideas and prospects and negativity or positive, like all of these things around us. We never really focus in on time until COVID hit. And then a lot of people were in complete shock because they didn't even know what to do. So now I love that you're coming on and you're saying, because I had time, and I was doing, what I loved. I was also being a mom, and life was still a little crazy because it always is with children, right? So even though you were doing all these, you're saying like, I had time to actually own in on like what I want to do and how I want to impact the world. And I love that.
It wasn't obvious at that time when I was going through it, but I spent quite a lot. I mean, I'm an only child. I quite like being on my own sometimes. And you don't get that with children. And especially when they're not glued to you 24/7 because of that. But those quiet moments in the evening when you can really reevaluate everything, I quite happily sit on my own looking out at the stars and just being grateful for what I've got and thinking about what life I want to, if it's not too abstract, like manifest for myself going forward.
But I think because you're in that state of mind, right? And this is like the whole point of a lot of the episodes on this podcast, because you've been able to reach that state of mind where you're comfortable with yourself, you're comfortable with your decisions, you can manifest because you trust in yourself and your universe, your higher power, whoever that is for you. And because of that, you didn't go into like freak out mode once COVID hit or once a dramatic change shifted in your life, right? So because you were able to, or because you had the mindset to be able to not give yourself a freak out moment. You're able to then appreciate everything around you even more, and all of this time that you now have to realize what you really wanted to do with your life and your business.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
I appreciate COVID in a really roundabout kind of way. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, we wish it never happened, but you have to find the goals in amongst all that that's out there.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh, I love that. And so talk a little bit more, like when you had that moment and that kind of that realization of what you wanted to do and kind of pivot your business into, and you're starting to get your first clients into this new pivot. What was that experience like?
I'll be honest, it was nerve-wracking. That was where I think the little bit of doubt crept in, because people were saying, oh, you want to do coaching. And I am not a qualified coach. I wouldn't be a very good coach, like I said. So there was that little bit of nervousness around it. But ultimately, I am a people person. I love talking to people. I love finding out more about them and you know, really digging underneath it to see what motivates them. Now, my focus is on startups. So for me, it's all about getting those foundations in place, that brand stuff in place, you know, the personality, the promise, the position, your purpose, understanding that. By brand, I'm not talking logos. I do words, not pictures. I'm talking about all those fundamental messages that you need to get on point to be able to get out there. Now, I am confident and secure in that understanding, and I'm confident and secure in knowing that I'm a people person. So it's just kind of pulling them together into a package. But I love what I do. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I love that. And then the second big topic that I kind of wanted to bring up is, you know, community, and especially for women, because luckily I think now we're in this day and age where we can surround ourselves with truly like-minded individuals, right? Thanks to technology and all that social media has to offer us. And instead of kind of looking at social media as a negative platform or a platform where I only sell into, you know, stuff like that. For me, at least, I always look at social media like who I could connect with more to keep growing my girl tribe, right? And I think it's really important when you are a solopreneur, when you are starting out in your business, to immediately find your tribe, because it is so hard, so hard. And I know everyone listening has heard this before, so I'm just going to reiterate it, but it is so hard to do this entrepreneurial life by yourself. I mean, like 100% by yourself, it is hard. It's lonely. It's frustrating. You need that guidance. You need that mentorship. You need a community to help you. And I think a lot of people don't always jump to that because, you know, they're thinking they rather spend their money, invest their money elsewhere. But at least to me, and seeing a lot of like businesses start up and talking to people, especially coming on this podcast, like how everyone has started their own business, and almost everyone is like, you know, I wouldn't have been able to do this without the support of X, Y, and Z. Instead of saying like, oh yeah, no, I invested in a social media manager first. And then I invested in like a mentor or something like that. Most of the people that I know who are successful, they know that having someone with you, like a right-hand man or woman or whoever, you know, having someone with you to hold you accountable, to give you new ideas. Like, I hate to say this, but entrepreneurs are amazing, but like our ideas are not meant for everyone, right? Like we pop out these ideas all the time. So we're like, oh, it's going to make $1 million. It's for everyone. And then we get so disappointed when it's not. So it's good to have someone to talk strategy with, to talk business with, to talk goals and systems and all of these kind of things. But it's important to do that right from the beginning so that you have a solid foundation to go into. So thoughts around all that. That was a lot.
No, absolutely. Completely 100% agree with you. I started out and I was going to face-to-face networking groups. And I found a mum's mums who run businesses, kind of face-to-face group. And from that group, I found 3 or 4 people who we are on a messenger group together, and we're constantly like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? How are we going to do this? And they are, I'm basically in a broom cupboard. I can stretch both arms out and touch both walls. And it's lonely.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, you know, before I started this business, I was working in an open plan office with 30 or 40 people. And that constant hubbub and, you know, people talk to and coffees to get and water cooler chat, all that stuff. You miss that. And that is when you know what you're doing. When you don't know what you're doing because you've started this new business and, you know, this is it. And all of a sudden you're left with your own thoughts and you get into that echo chamber of this is awesome. This is amazing. I'm going to make millions. And, you know, you present it to the real world and it falls over and you die inside. But, you know, I've joined so many Facebook groups. I've joined memberships. I've joined, you know, I've invested in coaching. And part of it is upping my skills, obviously. But part of it is that community. It's feeling like I belong. It's being able to say, I need you. Yeah. I can't do this on my own. I need someone to pick me up. And I think as women, we're open to being vulnerable about that kind of stuff. And that, you know, that girl tribe that will rally around you, that will tell you when your idea is terrible, because there's no point having people, cheerleaders who don't understand. Yeah. That's the problem with, you know, being a solopreneur on your own in a family, when all your, you know, your mum and your dad and your husband and your children all go, that's amazing, mummy. That's amazing, Kate. And then you present it to people who actually know what they're talking about and they go, I'm not convinced that's going to work. So it's finding your people, your business.
Absolutely. And it's cool now because we can still find our people. They don't have to be like directly in front of us. We can find them obviously with the help of Zoom or wherever you're connecting with people online virtually. But I always think like, how cool would it be? And like, what a massive event and huge takeaway you would get if you like met all of your girl tribes that you've been kind of accumulating and like connecting with, and you all just like met at one place face to face. It would be like the most magical moment. And I've actually now this year, since things are opening up, I've been able to go to a retreat, and it's like I meet these girls virtually online, but I love like chatting with them and everything like that. And it's like me going to London and then meeting you and being like, I see you in person. This is so cool. And you talk biz strategies because you understand it. You talk life because you understand it. You talk all of these things and you're just like blown away because you're like, oh my gosh, I finally have someone who gets me, who gets what I'm going through. And it's so important to have that right from the start. Because like you said, I mean, your boyfriend, your spouse, your husband, your kids, they're going to support you no matter what. But when the market doesn't support you and you give up on your dreams just because of one little bad market decision or whatever that is, you know, your tribe that you meet online, they're going to support you through that, versus your family and stuff. I mean, God bless them, right? They're just here to like support you physically. They might not really get what all's going on there.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, nobody in my family has started a business. Yeah. Nobody owns a business. Okay. So literally nobody knows what I'm going through. So, you know, when I'm working on the weekends and my husband's saying, are you sure you can't take some time off? I'm like, I'm investing in me, in my business. And it's a different mindset. It is. You know, it's having those people that have your back, but have your back constructively. Yeah, I mean, I love it. Because I'm making a big move to go to Utah, which for me is like the west side of the States. So it'll take like a week to get there. And I'm like packing up like I grew up here, my whole friends, family, they're all here, but I'm moving. And I've been able to luckily meet a lot of clients that are in this area too. And some of them I've met before to like help, you know, put product together or
market strategies or whatever. And a lot of people, I'm like, okay, I'm leaving and I'm going so much further. So like, let's meet now. And I'm so excited to, even though I talk to them literally every single week. I know their kids, I know their husband, I know their business like the back of my hand. But it's like such an amazing feeling when I meet them live, physically standing in front of me, having just a chit chat, like a cup of coffee or something like that. It's a whole new feeling. And it's just like a whole new connection. And a lot of them, I'm like, well, I mean, I know you own your business, so we can meet during the weekday instead of having to like meet on the weekend type of deal.
Yeah.
And it's just like such a nice feeling to be surrounded with true like-minded people. And I think a lot of people, we miss that true like-minded people. We think like friends and family count, but unless you're like another entrepreneur going through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, making your own income, having clients that you have to please 24/7, you really won't know that until you're, in the thick of it.
Yeah, I do wonder though if I ever did. I mean, I feel through Instagram stories, I feel like I know so many people so much better than I do. And I can just imagine being completely over familiar with people, running up to them and giving them a massive hug, and they're like, I don't know you. I know you though. I've watched all your stories.
I know that is the joy of social media. But it's kind of cool. A lot of people, because social media can be very dangerous and can be really, really bad for your mindset and your health and your business. But if you don't think of social media as social media, then I think you can kind of flip that and say, this platform is meant and created for me to meet people, to inspire others. Yeah, it's to make sales and grow my business, sure, but it's more of like, I can reach thousands and millions and billions of people and impact them with my message. And I wasn't able to do that, 10, 15 years ago. So that's a whole nother topic, social media. Because we could get into all kinds of stuff there.
It's about it's about building a community. I have a Facebook group. I'm members of Facebook groups, and I surround myself, like you say, it can be toxic AF sometimes, but I surround myself with people that I want that make me feel good. I'm a massive fan of community over competition every single time. I will lift my sisters up whenever I can, because at the end of the day, people come to you because they like you. Absolutely. They're going to go to somebody else because they like them. It's nothing detrimental about you, your products, your price, or anything like that. It could just be a pure chemistry thing. Yeah. So, one of my favorite sayings is, a candle that lights another candle doesn't lose its flame. So bring people up with you.
I love that. And that's a lot of like energetics too, and being able to like align with people and energetically bringing them into your life, because that's just how this beautiful world works. So I also kind of want to get into ambition, because the podcast and what ambition, being ambitious, what that really means to you, especially as a mom and an entrepreneur and someone who did leave corporate life and started their own business. So what does being ambitious, how do you consider that for yourself and for other people?
I mean, for me, ambitious is making this a success. I am on my way to doing it. I have my own goals that I repeat to myself. I have mantras that pop up on my phone every day and say, basically, you're not basic, you can do this. Talking about financial goals. I'm not, afraid to talk about the financial side of it. But as a mum, for me, I want to be able to show my two girls that this is possible. You can do it. Anything is possible. Just because you're a girl in the world doesn't mean that you are boxed into whatever. You can do this. You can run your own business. You can be a success. You can have time for making, you can make time for whatever you want to do. Make time for your family and still have a successful business. You might not earn the mega buck. Actually, no, that's rubbish. You can still earn the money and take the time to do stuff. You don't have to be on that hustling treadmill. That thinking that more feminine energy of taking out the hustle and being more at ease and aligned with yourself. But for me, success, and being ambitious is innate. I want this to work. I am so happy to be out there, to be speaking to women who are also ambitious, but need that little push to get over the hill of whatever they're doing at the moment.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I am ambitious. I love it. I want to be a role model for my girls.
I love that. Oh, I love that. And it's just like, it's so cool how everything plays out, because I interview a lot of people, but then I also send out my application to become interviewed on Ambitious AF to tons and tons and tons of women, like hundreds, right? And I only get a couple, and it's always so interesting to me, because every single woman that I talk to on here, I'm always like, no wonder, right? No wonder she signed up. No wonder she's on and being interviewed and wanted to be on this podcast, because like I see you, and it's like they're ambitious, right? They're going after their goals, and they also have like life and business, which is important too. Everyone has a journey, everyone has a story, and it's just so cool to see, and it's so amazing to create like the content that we're creating for others, because even though you and I are just talking right now, no one can see us. That's the only downside to podcasting. And also, one of my notifications, I normally turn them off, but something is dinging, so I apologize. Who knows? I normally turn them off, but yeah, no. So like, even though you and I are connecting right now, the minute this gets published, it's so cool how it will impact the right people that need to hear your story, that need to hear from you, and all of the inspiration, motivation that you have for this world. So I always appreciate everyone coming on. So I appreciate you coming on as well. That was like a long way of saying thank you so much for everything that you've been saying throughout our time together, and coming on here and showing up, because life gets busy, calendars get busy. You also have kids. I don't have kids. I have a little niece. I have a dog. But my little niece, I'm always like, oh, maybe she'll join my business down the road. And she's only 2 years old right now, but she is like so ambitious. She has got her stuff together. She's so cute. But of course, kids are who their parents are. So I'm always blessed to have like a good sister to raise her and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, that was long form of saying thank you so much for saying everything that you've been saying.
Thank you for the opportunity to say it as well. I love talking to ambitious women who just get it. And that is the thing, isn't it? It's finding a tribe of people who just get it.
Yeah, because now we're able to connect even further outside of this. And a month ago, whenever you signed up, like neither of us even knew each other. And now we know each other, and we're going to stay connected, and we're part of each other's tribes, right? I love that.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, Kate. Well, before we wrap up, please let everyone know, where they can find you, where they can reach out to you, whether that's marketing strategies or just life in general, and just sending you a DM or whatever the best way of that is. So please let everyone know where they can find you.
A really good way of finding me is probably Instagram. And I am at Snowball_Commons. There's lots of embarrassing mum dancing on reels, and some brand marketing tips as well. I also have a free Facebook community, which is called the Brand Story Project. I can't say that. The Brand Story Project.
Perfect.
So yeah, again, helping people write their brand stories, getting into storytelling and creating amazing content, really.
I love that. And everyone listening, please go reach out to her. Send her a DM. Let her know that you listened to her episode and you love everything that she said, because we all like to support each other. So any final words to all the listeners before we wrap up?
Just that being yourself and taking each day as it comes is so important. Giving yourself the space to grow, to really think about what your ambition is and how you're going to make it happen is so important. Giving yourself that space make sure that you try and do that every day.
Absolutely. It's so important. So thank you. All right, everyone. That wraps up our interview with Kate. Once again, go reach out to her on Instagram or go find her Facebook group. Let us know what you think about this episode. Of course, we would love if you rate and review. It only takes 2 seconds. But if not, either way, listening just helps us reach and inspire more people too. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank you again, Kate, for coming on. And I will talk to everyone soon. See ya.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you got some value or just feel fired up, I would love for you to take a screenshot and tag me in your Instagram stories. It's always so motivating to see you getting the inspiration you needed to level up for my podcast. I'm going to keep showing up and bringing my best self to these episodes, and I encourage you to do the same. If you think a friend or family member would enjoy this episode, I would love for you to share the ambition. I can't wait to chat next week, but until then, keep being ambitious AF.